Hello, folks. Hello, friends. Sorry I'm late. I'm going to try to also. I was going to try to also do this on Facebook too. So let me see. You guys have the great good fortune of watching me mess around with my phone while I pretend to talk to you. Let me see if I can get my phone set up so this is broadcasting to YouTube as well. Not YouTube, Facebook, because some people are Facebook heads. So yeah, it should be pretty easy to do. Turn it around this way. Is it live? You think it's live? Let's see. Starting the live video. All right. Hello, everybody. Rotate my phone. I can't turn my... Can I turn it around? I'm on. We're all on. All right, so let's see if anybody's listening. Hello, Facebook as well, but guess what? I can't really see the comments that are going on Facebook because it's just on my phone. So if you want to be able to get a question to me, it would be better to go through YouTube. Although there's going to be all kinds of... This is really interesting what's going on with my phone. I can actually see your comments, but I probably wouldn't be able to pay too much attention to them. Anyway, you know what we're going to do today? I think you know. We're going to do, just like what the picture says behind me, Astrological Remedies from Brihat, Parashara, Hora, Shastra. We're going to look at the Graha-Shanti chapter. Let me get it. Open up. And we've been doing this... Hello, everybody. We've been doing this a lot. We've been doing this for the past 2 weeks on YouTube. We've been looking at this chapter. So this is the chapter where Maitreya says to Parashara, lately, in the end of the book, you've been telling me a lot of stuff about what to do if there's a certain problem. Can you give me like a whole instruction about how to address problems? And then Parashara gives him that whole bit. And the things that he says, what he starts off by saying, just to review, is that whatever problem he gives, the way Parashara explains planetary remedies in Brihat, Parashara, Shastra is actually the opposite way that most astrologers approach it. Or most people approach it by thinking, let me look at my chart and see what planet is afflicted and then do something about that. But what Parashara is saying, the image is rotated. I'm like, is this better? Is that better? So that I'm not sideways? So, I don't know. I'll get this working better. Doing two at the same time. I'll get it working better. I think what I'll somehow set up something so I can see comments from both. All right. Anyway. Yeah, so what he says is this is different. It's not like he's not recommending that you look at the chart and figure out what the problem is. He just says, look, whatever problem you have, think about what planet it relates to. He's not even addressing this from the point of view of a chart. He's not saying if Mars is in the 8th house, then do this. If Jupiter is in Capricorn, then do that. He's not saying that at all. He's saying whatever problem you're facing or challenge or thing you want to improve, figure out what planet or planets it relates to. So he's talking to Maitreya Muni, so he's talking to somebody who knows astrology. So Maitreya Muni already knows, like, if I don't have any energy, that's a problem with Mars. Or if I'm very depressed, then it's a problem with Jupiter and or Saturn. Or if I can't keep a friendship, I don't know how to communicate, that's something with Mercury. Right? So what Parashara says is figure out what thing you want to improve, figure out what planet it relates to, and then do an appropriate therapy based on that planet. So then he's going to teach us how to do the therapies. And the first thing that he said was, you're going to need a focal point. You're going to have to focus on this planet. the name of the chapter is Graha-Shanti. See if I can get the sound a little better. The name of the chapter is Graha-Shanti, so that means like pacifying a planet, making peace with a planet. So in order to make peace with somebody, you got to sit with them in the same room, right? So if you want to do a real remedy in astrology, you don't just put a ring on your finger. You have to sit with the planet, literally. You're going to have to meditate upon being in the planet's presence. Now, some of the Q&A that we did in the previous episodes on YouTube, people asked if they could envision the planet in any old way or whatever way that they think of the planet. And my reply was, that's fine, but it's not as good as if you can envision it in the way Parashara will describe, because if you have a problem with that planet, your conception of how to visualize that planet is going to be plagued by your problem, isn't it? So you really want to not approach the planet through the way that you already understand the planet, because after all, the very reason why you're sitting with this planet is that you have a problem with it. So Parashara thankfully gives you the imagery to visualize. And in the previous 2 episodes, which are still on YouTube, they're recorded, you can go back and watch them, we went through the way that Parashara told you how to visualize, and we explained what each thing meant. Like, why is it that the moon is wrapped in white silky cloth, or why is it that they're holding various things in their hands, or what does it mean that they're riding on different kinds of vehicles or not riding. So we had gotten up to we finished the visualization on how they should be visualized. So now, and from this session, we'll start the next thing, which is once you visualize them, once you put the planet in your presence, you should do something respectful to the planet. So before we go there, let's see if anybody has questions about this thing about visualization. I'm not going to go back and reiterate the things that we already did in the previous 2 sessions, but if there's any new questions about how to visualize a planet, I'll take a couple of minutes to see. Let me see if there's a way I can see YouTube comments. I can see that Facebook is pretty hopping. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I haven't figured out how I can see what's going on with Facebook. Maybe next week I'll figure that out better. But I don't really have any questions popping up on my YouTube thing. So let's go on. Let's look at this method of worshiping the planets. So now we're at the 15th text in the Graha-Shanti chapter. And Parashara says, you want to worship these guys. You get the planet, you visualize the planet come in your presence. Now, the visualization can be mental, which is something that I added in there from the other types of Tantra that we're aware of. But specifically, Parashara said you can draw the picture of the planet, or you can make a 3-dimensional sculpture of the planet. And now once you have that image before you, whether it's physical or drawn or mental, then you want to interact with the person respectfully. Same way, right? If you have a problem with a person, then you want to go to the person's presence and have a positive interaction with them. That's how you'll improve your problem, right? So the same thing is the case for planets. If we've got problems in our life that are associated with particular planets, then we want to visualize the planet and then have a positive interaction with that planet. And that's going to be the mystical therapy that's going to cure our attitude and our way of acting that's causing this problem. Now, a got one question here from Sorup. How to visualize like it's easy for the sun and the moon. So how to visualize, just go back and read, look on my YouTube channel for those the recordings of the previous 2 weeks live sessions. Because Parashara gave 8 or 9 texts explaining how to visualize each particular one. You can do any day. Parashara doesn't say anything about days. All right, so we have the planet in our presence. Now we want to do some positive interaction. What kind of positive interaction? Respectful. This is a planet. This is a superintendent of our karma. So you don't want to be disrespectful, right? So you'll do something nice. It doesn't have to be reverent. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be distant. It can be intimate and friendly, but you should make sure that it's nice. So the classical way of doing that is to do puja. Now that puja is flowers. Flowers are the most important part of puja. If you look through any tantra, you'll see that the most important part of worshipping anyone or anything is the flower. So you should offer a flower to the planet. If you have a real form of the 3-dimensional form or a drawing, you can offer a real flower. If you have a mental image of the planet, then you can, in your mind, offer a flower. And the flower, each particular person has a particular flower that they like. So every planet has a flower that they like. You should get the flower that planet likes. How? How do you know which one they like? Parashara says there's colors that they like. So get a flower that has the color that the planet likes. And he said, I already told you about the colors. When he talked about how to visualize the planets, he talked about the colors they were associated with. So get the flowers of those colors. Moon would be white flowers. Sun would be orangey flowers. Mars would be red flowers. Venus would be white, sparkly, multicolored flowers. Yellow flowers for Mercury. Gray flowers. I have a flower plant in front of my house that makes these weird gray flowers. That would be perfect for Rahu or Ketu. There's also a lot of purple flowers that you can find that are very good for Saturn. So here, let me read you from the text what he says. The planets should be, in English translation, the planets should be worshipped with the flowers and clothes. Now he doesn't mean clothes like shirts, t-shirts, underpants. He means cloth. It's just, if you know what a regular Indian arti is, then it's he's talking about this. You offer cloth because the traditional arti has 5 elements. A traditional puja or worship has 5 elements, and it's going to signify the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So the air is signified by the cloth, and it will be offered after the water to dry the person off. So you need like a cloth involved in the worship to dry the person after you've bathed them. So he says, planets should be worshipped with the flowers and cloths of the color described in the preceding shlokas. Okay, so get the cloth and the flower to match the color that planet likes. That shows that you care. You may think, what is this? This is a ritual. This is hocus pocus. It's not hocus pocus. It shows that you care. It shows that, but the attention that you're paying to the planet, just to collect a flower or to get a piece of cloth that's the right color, actually cures you. Don't think that if I do this ritual and I follow all the things, then some magical thing will happen to me. That's not how Vedic mantras or ceremonies work. The ceremony itself cures you. By visualizing the planet, you become peaceful with the planet. By finding a flower, by offering the flower, by finding the cloth, by offering it, by that very act, you align yourself to the planet. You harmonize yourself with the planet, and everything that planet symbolizes is mixed in with the symbolism of the color and the type of flower and everything. And then your mind is a fantastic thing. Your mind works in these symbols. Everybody's mind works in these symbols. It's lower than your intellect. It's deeper down than your intellect. The mind is deeper in. So intellectually, you might not understand it. Like, why am I getting this flower, and why is this color important, and why does the planet have to look this certain way? You might not get it with your intellect. But the symbols affect your mind, because every shape, every color, every smell has inherent meaning in it. So just by doing these things that Parashara is recommending, you are actually putting your mind into the same shape. Your mind itself is a symbol machine. So by working with these symbols, you put your mind into a shape which is conformant and compatible with the shape of the planet that you are trying to get in shape with, in harmony with. Yeah, Angel asked an interesting question, right? Can you actually look at the real planets? Yes, definitely. Why not? You can actually just look up at the sky and think and do some visualization of the moon. But look, the point is that it's the symbolic thing that will affect you. So, because the mind, that's how the mind works. The mind works by symbolic symbols. So, just looking at the moon by itself, literally the round thing with the moon, don't think about it as this orb out in space that's got craters on it. But if you're just going to look at the moon directly, think about the symbolism of it. Its white light, its beautifulness in the nighttime, things like that. Everything. If you want to have a Graha-Shanti that's effective, you'll have to not be hocus pocus about it. You'll have to not be superficial or ritualistic or superficial about it. You'll have to get your mind deep into the level of symbolism. Okay, so the planet should be worshipped with flowers and clothes of the colors of the idol described in the preceding shlokas, and with fragrance. So incense. And Deepa. Deepa is a candle. Giving oblations, Dhupa, Gugul, etc. So he's saying etc. because it's not particularly important exactly what you do. As long as you do the flower, like I said in the beginning, right? The flower is the most important. The flower is the real worship. Then the rest of the stuff is extra. It has an etc. on it, an adi in Sanskrit. So you can do anything else that you like, but always try to tailor it to the nature of the planet. So you can offer incense, for example. That's a typical thing that would be done if you have a guest come to your house in India. In the ancient days, if a guest comes to your house, you make it look nice and you make it smell nice. So you light incense. So if you're bringing this guest into your mind, or you're going into the presence of this guest, this planet, then light some incense. Make the incense have some connection symbolically to the planet. So think about the flavors connected to the planets. Like Parashara said, this is one of the last chapters in Parashara or Shastra, and he said, look, I've told you descriptions of the planets already previously. You're going to have to use those. So for example, think of the flavors, like how Mars is very spicy and how the moon is very mild, and or the moon is salty or mild, and think of the flavors. You use your imagination and figure out what is the type of smell that this planet would like. Think about that. The very act of trying to do so will align your consciousness to the planet's consciousness. The very act of trying to figure out, I want to offer some incense in this ceremony that I'm going to perform with this planet. Which incense should I use? What flower should I get? What kind of cloth should I use? That act of trying to work out those details will get you to understand this planet. And when you understand the planet, then you can work with it so much more productively. Is this making sense? Now, let me know if that makes sense. That's the end of the puja thing. So, Saurabh also had another question. Graha-Shanti puja that usually astrologers or Brahmins suggest. What's your take on that? It's... I don't favor it. If you just pay... Actually, Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that any bhakti which is done through a third party is not bhakti. It's just a payment. The only bhakti that is expressed to the third party is the amount of the payment that you give to the third party to do it. So what you really need to do with these planets is express bhakti, express love and connection with the planet. That's how you're going to make peace with them and harmonize with the planet. If you do that, try to do that through a third party, which means, hey, look at this guy. He's a priest. He's a famous pujari or something. He's a Brahmin, such and such. And he offers such and such ceremonies, and all I have to do is pay him, and he's going to do this Graha-Shanti puja at some famous temple in South India and say my name during the ceremony, and then I'm going to get all this benefit. Guess what? It's not the best way to do a Vedic ceremony. Maybe there's people out there, like I know I have a friend who said, no, I did this puja and I got a great result from it. Great, that's awesome. Maybe you were just destined to get this great result. But if you want something that really works reliably, and then you can tell somebody else to do, and it'll really work reliably for them, it has to be something that you do yourself. The giving of the money to the pujari is a good deed. So that in and of itself can give you some relief and good karma. But it's so much of a better, you will have so much of a better effect if you do the puja yourself. If you light the incense, if you light the candle, if you offer the flower, if you keep the murti, the image of the deity. Now, there's other questions coming up as to what are we doing here? Like, this is a big question. See, I'm sorry now. I got hip problems lately and I can't sit in a regular posture anymore. What's the deal? Yeah. Another big issue whenever people talk about remedies is they want to know, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to fix a broken planet? Or, what does the remedy do? Jupiter in my chart is really bad, so should I get a Jupiter ring? Or is that only going to make that bad Jupiter even worse? That's like a big question. So bring it back to your awareness that Parashara is not talking about that at all. From the very beginning of this chapter, Parashara never says anything about look at your chart. If Jupiter is in this sign, then do this puja. If Mars is in that sign, do that. He doesn't say that at all. He says whatever challenges you have or benefits you want, associate those to the appropriate planet as previously described, and then do the following things that I'm going to teach you what to do in relationship to that planet. So that's why it's very important to go back and study a source text so that you can at least know that, okay, the stuff that everybody's talking about, rings, pujas, paid pujas in some faraway temple, or analyzing a chart to see what ring I should wear or something, that's some new thing. As a new development, it's not from the source texts. Or at least it's not from this source text, which is supposed to be a pretty important one. All right? So what have we got so far? What we got so far is, and it doesn't have to be negative. It's not that you're only going to be trying to fix a problem. You may want to be enhancing something or improve something. So you pick some topic that you want to improve. You figure out the planet or planets associated with it. You get an image of the planet, whether it's in your mind or on paper or in a particular kind of metal or stone as a statue. Then you take some time. Of course, the implication is that you don't just do this once, but you should do this regularly. You take some time to go into the presence of this planet that you have an image of in a respectful, positive interaction. And the way to make that respectful, positive interaction is by bringing a flower, isn't it? If you're going to meet somebody and you bring flowers, bring a flower, bring a cloth, light some incense, light a candle. Okay? So now we'll go to the next thing. Oh, here, wait, before we go to the next thing, Angel has an interesting question. He asks, so when we offer the planets things like flowers or foods or smells, do you let those things rot and stay there, or do you switch it out and get a newer flower or food item? What do you think? You're not going to let it rot. Is that nice? You can't let it rot. You offer the planet. You offer the... See, a lot of these things too is just you would know this too if you did any other puja would be the same. It's the same as any other puja. You offer some items and then you share them. This is a very important part of any offering, and that's the next thing that Parashara is going to bring up. Is that pujas or rituals are never complete without sharing. So if you offer a flower to a deva, then after the offering of the flower, you should offer the flower to your neighbor or to your wife or your husband or your, you know what I mean? You share the thing. Same thing with food or gold or anything that you offer to the thing, to the planet, then you should share. Okay? So it doesn't just sit there and do nothing. All right, the next thing that he says, the next thing that he says is the metal of the idol of the planet and the foods dear to him, to the planet, which again he says you already know about that because I already told you about this, should be donated in charity with full devoutness for the alleviation of the affliction. So this is the super important part of the puja. And this is it doesn't matter if it's a planet puja or Shiva, Krishna, Vishnu, anything. It's very, very counterproductive to only worship God or to only worship a god. All the Indian texts are very strong and heavy on that point. That to worship God or gods in isolation from the rest of the living beings around you is ignorant. So they're always going to stress that whatever you offer to the god, you also have to offer to the people around you. So, to make the puja of a planet or a god complete, there has to be charity at the end of the puja, in the name from the god. So, what he says is... Well, I got an interesting question here. Should I take it? Yeah. Sometimes it's good to get distracted. Interesting question from Gimos 94. I'm not sure if I say that name right. How can Muslims do the remedies? Is it different if you're not Hindu? Hindu and Muslim, we don't give a damn. We don't care. Those are social designations. Now, if you're a Muslim and you feel, well, I can't worship this, I can't do this puja because Allah says that I shouldn't visualize God, then you shouldn't do it. But then probably you shouldn't. Why are you interacting with Indian culture in the first place? If you're that intense that Allah said not to visualize God, then don't go hang out with people that love to visualize God. You're threatening your relationship with Allah. But if you're not, if you're not firm, if you're not opposed to this, then you can do it. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a Hindu or whatever, but it matters as an individual, are you opposed to the concepts that are being presented? And if you're opposed to the concepts being presented, do something else, find something else. Just like if you don't like a particular game, then don't play it. Okay? Or go to, if you're involved with astrology but it's Muslim, then find out how the Persians were, well, I'll find out how the Muslims are doing it, if it's important to you. Okay. Yep, so he says it's to make the relationship with the planet complete, you need to give the things associated with the planet to other people. Yeah. If you want to improve the quality of Mercury in your life, then give yellow flowers. Here's a little example. Then give yellow flowers to young kids. Now you may think that's crazy. What is this all about? But it is crazy because you don't understand how your mind works. Your mind works with symbols. The symbols are not rational, but symbols are intensely meaningful. Thank you, Trinity. So go and give yellow flowers to young kids who are playing in a playground. Go to the playground, find some young kids, and hand out yellow flowers with a smile on your face, and you be happy while you do that. And then come back home and see how you feel, and see how Mercury is working, and see what happens to all of your Mercury skills. They'll improve. Do it on a regular basis. Go give yellow clothes to students. Donate yellow clothes to a school if you've got an issue with Mercury, right? So for each planet, you should know what kind of person is related to the planet. So that would be the person who should receive the charity. And what kind of objects are related. Feed people is a very important form of charity. So giving food, giving clothes, giving money, giving flowers, these are all good ways to give charity. So you will have to then review. That's why the most important thing to learn in astrology, frankly, and I always say it, the most important thing to learn in astrology, and you should never stop studying it, is what do the planets represent. Because everything else that you do always refers back to what the planet represents, even when it's here in one of the final chapters of Brihat, Parashara, Hora, Shastra, and he's talking about how to maximize your relationships with the planets. If you don't know what the planets represent, it's very difficult to figure out how to do this puja. So for the sun, you would want to give something nice to authority figures. You would want to feed authority figures some type of sun-oriented food, and you can look it up in the beginning, what kind of foods are associated in the beginning of Parashara or Shastra, what kind of foods are associated with the sun. That act of you looking it up is also part of your puja, that act of you trying to find it out, what it is. Items of the various colors associated with the planets, precious metals and stones, which you can't really do too often because it's so expensive. Yeah. Okay. So Saturn is very good. If you want to get better with Saturn, most people want to get better with Saturn, right? And that's why it's always good to give money to poor people, old people, or take care of old people. Okay. This is such an American thing to say. Melissa Miller says, maybe ask the parents if it's okay first. This is so American. I haven't lived in America for more than 10 years now, so I'm desensitized to the phobia of the wild, horrible things that go on with children in America. But yeah, I guess if you're in America, you need to think that somebody may misinterpret you're giving a flower to a child. All right. What time is it? The next thing that we're going to get into is the mantras. And that's really what I wanted to focus on, is the mantras. So I'll take some questions now about anything that we've done so far. And I'll just refer you to, if you want to get a little more detail, he also says there can be more specificity in the way that you offer. If you're going to go all the way and offer a fire oven to the planet, you don't have to do all these things. Everybody can do, this is an important point, everybody can do the Shanti puja to the extent to which you can do it. Everybody doesn't have to build an altar in their backyard or in their front yard on their porch and construct a life-size golden statue of the sun and offer red beans into a fire in front of it while having 4 priests chant Vedic mantras. It doesn't have to be done that way. Although if you could do it that way, that would be full power. But to do it to your best capacity is sufficient. That's why there's various different extents. And that's why the word adi or etc. is also used. It means you can go as far as you want or as far as is practical. So even just visualizing the form of the planet and visualizing yourself giving a flower of the right type every day, and even just visualizing doing good things for other people in connection with the planet, like if it's Saturn, taking care of old people, taking care of poor people, giving money to poor people. If it's Rahu and Ketu that you want to improve, it would be helping out misfits, helping out people who are outcast, helping out people who are cast out from social groups, giving some sympathy and compassion to those people, giving some practical help to those people. Even that, if you can't physically do it, but you can visualize it, it still has some significant effect. Wow. So let me see. Let me look around. Let me see who's here. Let me just type a message in here. Somebody said they want to donate a lot of money. In case anybody else gets that wonderful idea. You could, I don't know, YouTube has a way of doing that donations, where I also have a page on my site. It's victorcara.com/donate.php. You don't have to donate. This is intended to be a free class, but it's really wonderful when people do donate, because that's actually also a good puja. So yeah, let me see. Let me try to look at Facebook and see if anybody's been typing anything in over there, and say hi to some of the people. Hopefully I won't get kicked off YouTube. I'm coming to see you guys on Facebook. Hang on a second, wait for me. Oh, look at that, it's me. Sorav wants to know what is the relationship and what is the theory behind it on colors and flowers, etc. That's all I'll look at. But hi to everybody. There's a great relationship between it, and you do need somebody to tell you what it is, but you know what? You just need somebody to point you in the right direction. Like, I'm telling you that everything about these pujas is symbolic and deep. So you part of what you'll be doing in a meditation, the whole thing will be meditative. Whether or not you're visualizing the planet or you actually have a three-dimensional form of the planet, the whole thing has to be meditative. You have to be thoughtful about everything. So the whole point of you offering a flower of a particular color is so that you'll be making the connection. What is the connection of this color to the problem that I'm having? And it's not the reason why these things are symbolic is because they get communicated better without words. They get communicated better by experiencing it. But words, the benefit of words is that you can quickly get something. But the benefit of not using words is that you get it deep because you discovered it yourself. But the drawback of only interacting with the symbols in the puja is that you have to do it a lot of times and you have to be thoughtful. So till it finally sinks in. So do the ceremony, the puja, the way that it's the way that Parashara is advising, and contemplatively. And then all these things like why am I interacting with kids for Mercury? Why am I interacting with old people? Those things are more obvious, right? Why is it a black color with Saturn? Why is it iron with Saturn? Why are there buffaloes? Like there's different kinds of animals with each planet too that you can take care of. Somebody asked me, what is puja? Puja means to show respect, and the word means to show respect, but it's a word for showing respect, which is usually you can do it formally in a ceremony, or you can do it informally. Even if a puja is basically a stylized way of greeting a guest. That's what a puja is. If you came to my house in Vedic days, then I would clean your feet because you walked a long way to get here, give you something to eat because you must be hungry, light up some incense, light up some candles because I want the house to be bright and smell good, give you a flower to show that I care, right? So it's a puja is just taking all those elements and putting them into a little format so that you do all of them. That's all it is. So you're inviting a guest into your presence, this divinity into your presence, and then you perform the welcoming. Oh, that's nice. I'd like to hear that. Astrology and Hinduism make me go closer to God and understand Islam more. That's great. Manas puja is more difficult, Astrobhasha says, for some people, but actually it's more practical for some people. It will be difficult to do. Manas puja means that you're visualizing the things. It is more difficult to do it, but actually the Manasa puja is the most integral or important part. If your mind is not engaged in what you're doing, then even if you're doing this big elaborate thing with a big statue and a real altar and you're really offering gold, if your mind is not engaged, then it's very little use in it. And so even though the Manas puja is the difficult part, it's the part that you really have to focus on. Okay. So Rob asked me for some. Hey Matishka, my eyes just happened to see that you're watching on Facebook. Astrobhasha. Oh. So Rob, can you tell us a little bit about the research that you and Eve started? Actually, I forgot because we haven't done anything with. I guess what kind of research was it? And we would like to see Santos Bonacci on your channel. I probably am not taking any more guests on my channel for a while, because I did lots of that with all those interviews. But yeah, he's pretty interesting, isn't he? I'll put him on my list. Karaka of birds. What planet represents birds? I'm not the best at memorizing all those sorts of things because I just decided that wasn't going to be the thing that I tried to do. I was going to be the one who tried to understand the core thing and not have to memorize. But a couple of things I can say about birds and planets is that, first of all, there's a different kind of bird for every planet. And you can figure it out. Same thing with flowers and planets. You don't have to go and look up exactly which one it is. You can just think about what is the nature of this planet. Like a Mars flower. Think about which kind of flower you want to get. It's not going to be a big frilly flower. And actually, if it's a phallic flower, it'll be the best for Mars. You don't have to have a book tell you that, although the book will actually tell you that. But it will make sense. So, what do I mean by a phallic flower? The phallic flower is the one that has the big stamen in the middle that comes up. So, there's phallic flowers that are red. So that's a good one for Mars. You just think, so what kind of bird is a Mars bird? Well, it's probably a bird of prey. Or a red bird. Yeah, that was a good one from Jesse, right? A red bird like a cardinal or a bird of prey. You can get more like an owl or something for Saturn. Use your use your imagination factory, use your symbolic factory to work with it. And some people who are better than me, who have memorized the lists that have been given, they can tell you what these things are, like cardinal for Mars, hibiscus for Mars, and all such things. I think that's what I was referring to as the hibiscus. Then you can go in reverse. Instead of using your symbolic engine to try to figure out what flower to get and what kind of bird is associated with the planet, go in reverse. Somebody tells you, respectable person tells you that it's a hibiscus for Mars and a cardinal. Use your imagination engine in reverse to try to figure out, like, why. Oh, cardinal's red, I get it. Oh, hibiscus is phallic and red. Falcon. Yeah. All right. Owls, the 9 of owls. Okay, great. Any other questions about remedies in general? Because it's like kind of close to the hour. I think we might wrap it up. I don't want to. Next week we'll do the month. Let me tell you. Let me give you a coming attraction to what's coming next. So, here's the next few shlokas in this chapter. This is the most brilliant part of the whole chapter by far. He's gonna say that there's a mantra for each planet. And the brilliant thing about this is these are not the little tantric mantras that you get on the internet. Like Klim Shum Shukraya Nama. This is like just a formulated mantra. Just like I call it tantra. It's like just a practical mantra. You're just taking. It just follows a pattern. You just take the name and you extend the first syllable and then you add an appropriate bijam. So that's one way of making mantras, and it's not that they're not useful, but those are tantric mantras. The mantra that Parashara is going to recommend for each planet is actually Vedic mantra. He's going to give. See, I see this question here from Saurabh. Oh, from Gamiel. What remedies for Rahu, Jupiter in the 8th house and Libra? See, that's the thing. That's not what Parashara was teaching us. He's not teaching us that going backwards from the chart to a remedy. He's teaching us go forwards from your problem or your desire to the planet that you want. So, but it seems like it might have something to do with sexual relationships. Rahu, Jupiter in the 8th house and Libra. All right, so Saurabh says, what's Om good for? Om is your basic syllable. I'll tell you what Om means right now, maybe next week also. Om just means every single thing. Aum is every single vowel. And because the vowel means the actual sound that's produced. And then the other stuff like A, B, C, D, F, G, those other sounds are consonants. These are sounds that hook onto the vowel. So the vowel is the main sound and the consonants hook onto it. Om has au in it. And those are the three vowel sounds. Aum. So from this, it's a word which means the root of everything. Just as those vowel sounds are the root of all the words that can be made. The word Om is the root of all the other words that can be made. So the word Om is one of the ultimate words. It's a word that refers to the ultimate source of everything, the supreme divinity, the supreme being, the Param Brahman. And so before every mantra, we say Om, just to put ourselves in that context that this is in connection with the ultimate source of reality, not some disconnected thing. So then we had a question of what's the mantra for Venus things. That's what Parashara is going to say now. He's going to give a mantra for each planet. And the beautiful thing about this is these are Vedic mantras. These are mantras that come from Yajurveda, Rig Veda, Yajur and Rig. I think there may be one from Sama, but they're from the original 4 Samhitas, the original 3 Samhitas. So it's really amazing. And when you study what these mantras are and what they mean, it will blow your mind and really give you really good insights into the planets. So for the next 7 or 8 classes, I want to do one, well, let's see how many. I want to do 1 or more mantras per session. Okay? So he says that there's a particular mantra, and then he gives the first words of each mantra for each planet. And he says you should recite these a million zillion times. So in other words, that's the thing about mantras. You have to repeat it again and again and again and concentrate. Okay? So in the upcoming, like next week and the week after that and the week after that, we'll go over each mantra for each planet. So tell your friends about this, about what's coming up. Because I remember I did this once on KRS's channel. It was a panel discussion on Rahu Ketu, and then when I brought up the Rahu mantra, people were like, wow, that's great. So this is the thing. That's what we're going to do next. That thing that everybody was like, wow, tell us more about that. That's what I'm going to tell you more about next week and next week and next week after that. Okay? Yes, Angel is saying, if I have my picture or statue of this planet, is it okay if I take it down on the wall so I don't freak out my parents who are Catholic? Sure, of course. That's fine. Yep. So our live classes are at this time every week. You know? Every what is it? For me, it's every Friday at 10:30 in the morning. So in Pacific Standard Time, it's 5:30 p.m. All right, guys. I'm going to hit the road. Get to my other... Thank you so much. See you all next week for the big main event, the mantras for the planets. Great. Goodbye for now. Now let's see, I got to shut down Facebook. Did that work? Did that shut off? And I'm going to shut down OBS.